Let's go to our next segment, brought to you by one of our bold partners, Independent Women's Forum. This week, we have friend of the show, Julie Gunlock, with us. She's on Skype. She's the director of Center for Progress and Innovation at IWF. Welcome back to the show, Julie.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, so I'm going to jump right in because this headline is a little bit, I don't know if we've gone over the edge here. Julie, we've seen some parenting headlines that some parents worry about or have a problem with telling kids about Santa. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so we see this every year around the holidays. There are all these sort of think pieces and a lot of consternation over whether we should essentially lie to our kids. I actually have to be really quiet during this segment. My kids are, getting home from school,
No.
I don't want to, ruin their lives right now.
Oh my gosh, no.
But I think people take things way too seriously. I'm sorry if I didn't finish. Whether Santa is real, whether Santa is real, and whether you should lie to your kids, because essentially, obviously, it requires you to lie to your kids if you're going to tell them that Santa is real and that
For
Santa
like a good 7 to 8 years of their life, too.
That's right. That's right. And I actually have slightly older children than that, and they still believe in them. So I'm starting to wonder what's wrong with my children. But anyway, so there's all these sort of questions as to, I'm like, God, how can you still believe in flying reindeer? But whatever. Anyway, that's another bold topic. But so there's a lot of questions about this, and a lot of child psychiatrists sort of weigh in on this. Is it right? And some people go, like you said, really overboard, where they say, when their child finds out, they're going to find out you've been lying to them for a decade or for 8 years or something. And I have to say, I think that's a little silly. Look, there's another train of thought and sort of body of commentary from psychiatrists that say it's very good for children. It makes them happy. It sort of opens up wonder and storytelling and surprise and excitement.
Yeah.
So it's on both sides, but I am a big believer in lying to children. I've done it now for 11 years. It's worked for me.
Thank you, Julie.
Yeah. So I don't think that this is the big sort of, I don't think it's a big no-no. I think, again, it adds to the wonder of Christmas.
I mean, honestly, not that I want to make kind of an apples to oranges comparison, but we also lie about the stork because children are not ready to kind of wrap their head around that concept. So what's, from my standpoint, and I'm just going to give my opinion here, like you mentioned about the wonderment and the magic that is the holiday, and we are making children grow up so fast as it is. They have phones in their faces by the time that they're really babbling at this point. And the world is so chaotic and crazy and pretty bleak and dismal at times. Let them be kids. And having Santa Claus in their life is one way that they can do it. So do you think there are positives to teaching our kids to believe in Santa?
Look, I do. I think, Diana, you're a new mom. You're going to be facing all of this soon, at the point where your child becomes more of a toddler and they understand these concepts. And I really think it's part of the fun. My husband and I, we have different wrapping paper. We use, a sort of more formal print when we put who the gift is from. We really do believe in this, and it has added so much joy. They're so excited to come down the stairs. Of course, it's your choice if you don't want to have your children believing in this. But I think to sort of suggest it's a lie, it's a big scandalous lie, is a little bit, it's going overboard a little bit. I think, kids understand that, as they grow older and as they mature, many childhood beliefs, things that they took stock and they really believed in, aren't true. That's part of growing up, and it's not going to break anyone's hearts. I will just add, though, there was a great suggestion from I read an article where a woman, she decided to tell her child that he can now become a Santa and give gifts to other kids or give gifts to his family members. And it was a really nice way to transition. I thought that was a lovely way to handle it.
That is a nice way to handle it, because you mention about how do you kind of unveil the truth that Santa is, your kids aren't around, right? So I can say this?
Yes.
Is mythological.
Right.
I don't remember it back in my time when I was pretty young too, and I figured it out. And I had an older brother who I'm sure helped plant the seed that Santa wasn't real. But I don't remember it being catastrophic or breaking my heart. I was kind of like, I was at that age developmentally where it was okay to let it go. And I think that's the parents' job, to kind of know their child and know if they're ready to handle that truth.
Exactly right, Dana. You know, this is the thing that I've talked about for years. There is no one size fits all parenting strategy. Mm-hmm. You have to figure it out as you go along. Every time I have a friend who gets pregnant, I say, don't read anything. Just for 9 months, don't read any advice, because it really is stressful to hear about all these things. And again, if you have a child, like obviously my children are really gullible. Okay. Like they're a little older than 8. Well, I still have an 8-year-old. But they, and I don't know, in some ways I think we're at the point where they might feel like it'll hurt my feelings if they tell me. They don't know. So it's a really interesting thing. And again, you have to make these judgments based on your child.
You really do. And can I just ask what your reaction was when you found out that Santa Claus wasn't real? Did you survive it okay? Because you seem like you're doing all right.
No, I survived it, but Diana, I have to tell you, it was traumatic for me. I asked my mother about it. I said, Mom, I don't really understand this whole like fat guy getting down the chimney and like flying reindeer. And so she finally sort of sat me down and told me, and then I cried. And then the most hilarious thing is I then went through all the other ones. I went through the Easter Bunny. I went through, Mr. Sandman. I went through them all. She had to individually tell. I wasn't getting it. Like in general, these things don't exist.
I would have been really relieved, though, if Mr. Sandman I found out wasn't real, because that just seems haunting.
Totally creepy, but I survived and I'm fine. I'm fine.
Julie, thank you for your candid take on parenting. It's always great to hear from you.
Thanks so much for having me.